Since this is a course on mobile learning and we're going to do some designing and developing of some mobile apps, we need to start thinking about what principles should guide our design. What kinds of things do we need to think about when we're planning and designing mLearning? The way we're going to get at those principles, because I couldn't find a book that had all the principles in it, is by the book reviews that you have to do. As we talked on the previous video, you will select 2 books to review out of the 4 books that are required for this class. You are to read all 4 books, but you're only to do reviews on 2 of those books. Those 2 reviews you will post to the appropriate Dropbox. So if you have the Mobile Academy and Designing mLearning, you will post your review to the Mobile Academy Dropbox, and you will post a Designing mLearning review to the Designing mLearning book review Dropbox, and you'll see the due dates that are there. But in addition to that, I'm also asking you to do something else. So I'm asking you to, and I got to scroll up here to go here to select your 2 books. But I'm also asking you to go to the mLearning Design Wiki. And you see here are the 4 books here. To select, and I'm going to assign one person to be responsible for each book. And I'll do that after you've made your book assignment. So if you have been assigned the Mobile Academy, it will be up to you to post the required information, which is basically your review of the Mobile Academy, to this particular wiki. And you do that by editing the wiki content and posting your information. So we will have this done for every 4 books. Now there are 2 people, remember there are 2 people who are writing reviews for both books. I'm asking that second person to come in here and to look at what the original person wrote for the review and to add anything that was missing. So if the original review said something that you disagree with, I want you to edit that review and say, you disagree, or other thoughts, or another perspective is. But I just want it to be one review. I don't want it to say, here's everything this person thought and here's everything you thought. You will have, I'm going to go back and look at that. You will have certain categories of information. Let me just go back and look at it. Where were we? In assignments. If you look here, this is the information that you are asked. I'm asking you to post on the wiki. So let's say there's an introduction. So our book summarizer will post an introduction. The second person who has to post that, who has to review that same book, will look at that introduction and say, does that introduction capture what I thought the introduction would be? If it doesn't, I want you to edit that section. This person has key ideas and concepts. If you're the second person who reviewed that book, I want you to say, well, I actually thought there were some other concepts. So if that list is not complete based on what your review is, I want you to add to the concept section. The same thing for the design principles. When you look at the design principles that the original person posted and look at the principles that you found, were all of yours covered? If they weren't, I want you to add them to this area. Now, a problem that I've had in the past is with people giving me bullet lists. I don't have a problem with bullet lists, but a bullet list needs a description. So if you have a principle, I need to be able to understand what the principle is. So I need a 3 to 5 sentence description, at least, minimally, of each design principle, so that if it's a principle that I'm supposed to follow, or that I'm supposed to think about that would make my mLearning better, if I don't know what the principle is clearly, how can I apply that principle? So I'm just looking for enough information for others to be able to use that as a principle. And then the same thing for critique and recommendation. The original person might think this is a stupid book. Please don't say this is a stupid book. You're a college person. You can say this is a stupid book without saying this is a stupid book. You're a doctoral student, so you must find a way to say that without saying it that way. So, but one person may think it's a great book, another person may think it's a not so great book. So I want you to edit this critique and recommendation section with yours. Now, even though it's going to be 2 people posting, I want this to look like one review as opposed to looking like one person just went in and pasted his stuff after the other person. So for the second person, you're really going to have to do a job about how you're going to integrate your thoughts when they're the same or different from the other person's thoughts. Okay? Now, the rest of the class, don't think that you're going to get off easy. Because what we're also going to have to do, let's go back and look at where we are over here on our wiki. We have a final wiki page that's mLearning Design Principles Summary. So what we're going to do is, after the two people who had to write book reviews have put together what they have firmed up what the principles are for this particular book, I want to copy those principles to this mLearning Design Principles Summary. And we're going to bring together all the principles for all the books. So the first two that will be posted here will be the Mobile Academy and Content Strategy for Learning. So let's say the Mobile Academy person posts first. If the Mobile Academy person posts first, when the Content Strategy for Mobile person comes through, they're going to have to look at what the Mobile Academy person posted and say, do I have any new principles? There's no sense in duplicating the principles. You only want to include the principles that were not already there. Then when we get to the other two books, we're going to do the same thing so that we can come up with a list of mLearning design principles that we have pulled together from the textbook. Now, so basically what you're going to do, let me go back and say this again. Let's go back to our assignments. What you're going to do is everybody is going to pick two books to review. After you pick the two books to review, I'm going to assign somebody to be the book review summarizer and discussion leader. And I forgot the discussion activity, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, everybody will review their two books. They will post those books to the appropriate Dropbox. The person who is the summarizer for that book will post their review, this particular information, to the wiki for mLearning Design Principles. The second person who read this book will go in after this first person and build on what they've written to make it also capture what their thoughts were about this book. Then the summarizer will take what they have on that board and post it to the page where we're doing mLearning Design Principles. And that's how we're going to build our exhaustive list. Now, as I say this, you're probably thinking, that means I only have to read my two books. I don't have to read the other two books. I don't want you to think that way. I also want you to have some familiarity with the other two books, because when we start building that final list of principles, that's when you will be able to bring in new principles that you thought of that aren't captured there, or principles or modifying principles or principles that you disagree with. So we want everybody to contribute, not just the two people. And we're going to be doing some discussion on the discussion board that's going to require everybody to participate. So that's the wiki. Now let's go look at the discussion board activities. I don't think I have a lot in there, to be honest, at this point. Book review discussions. Basically what I have here, and we're going to do this over a week's time. And what I'm going to ask you to do for this week is I'm going to ask you to come to the discussion board every day during this particular week. And what I have put forth here is what we're going to be doing on each day. The Mobile Academy and the Content Strategy people are going to post their questions on the first day, and that's the first day of whatever the time period is that we do this discussion. They're going to post their discussion questions. So one will open a thread for the Mobile Academy and post their two questions. One will open a thread for the Content Strategy and post their two questions, and then we will discuss around that. By the next morning, everybody should have posted their initial responses. On day 3, we want the people for the other two books, the summarizers for the other two books, to post their two questions. And then we want the next day for people to, by the next day, we want people to have posted their initial responses. And so I'm trying to put us on a path to discussing all 4 of those books. And everybody will be required to post multiple times. And I want you to keep to this particular schedule. So that's our discussion forum. And like our other discussion forum, there's nothing here yet, so you'll create the threads. You'll be able to just subscribe to the threads so you'll know when people have started posting. Okay? I think that's about, let me go look one more time before I get out of here. There are your you're doing the wiki, you're doing your book reviews, you're doing the wiki, and you're doing your discussion. And we're going to wrap this up with that week-long discussion in the discussion board. And it's during that week-long discussion that we will be putting together that final page of mLearning design principles. That's when we'll be doing that. We'll be putting together that the finishing touches on that, so we end up with some principles that we can work from. Okay? That's it for this particular video. I'm going to end now, and then I will start the next video on introduction to the app development tools activities. So let's close this out. If you have questions, email me or post them to the discussion board.